The evening air was still, the kind of quiet that precedes a storm. Samantha and I sat across from each other at our dining table, a space that had hosted countless meals and laughter, now feeling like the setting for a negotiation. I could never have anticipated the words that would spill from her lips, words that would irrevocably alter the course of our marriage. "Samantha, you've been distant lately. Is everything okay?" I asked, breaking the silence that had settled between us. She looked up, her eyes meeting mine with a hesitancy I wasn't used to. "Mike, I've been thinking about us, about our future together, and I believe I found a way to invigorate our marriage." Her choice of words piqued my curiosity, though I remained cautious. Invigorate our marriage. Sam, what are you talking about? Samantha took a deep breath, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. "I think we should consider opening our relationship. It could be the solution to the rut we found ourselves in." The words hit me like a physical blow, leaving me momentarily speechless. Open our. Samantha, are you saying you want to see other people? Not just me, she hurried to explain. Us, Mike. It's about us exploring together, separately, if need be. It's not just about sex. It's about growth, about freeing ourselves from constraints. I struggled to comprehend her logic, to find the woman I married in the stranger before me. And you thought this through. You believe that bringing other people into our marriage will make us stronger. Yes, I truly believe that, she replied, conviction stealing her voice. And I've even thought of starting with Heather. Heather? My confusion deepened at the mention of her friend. Why? Why would you bring Heather into this? Samantha leaned forward, her expression earnest. Because I trust her, and I thought it might be easier, less complicated with someone we know and trust. The conversation spiraled from there, Samantha outlining a plan that felt more like a plot from a twisted drama than our life. I listened, a tumult of emotions raging within me, as she detailed how this arrangement could alleviate the pressure I hadn't realized I was applying about starting a family, how it could be our secret to a lasting happy marriage. As the evening wore on, the storm I sensed in the air broke within me, leaving a chaos of thoughts and feelings I couldn't begin to navigate. Samantha's proposal, meant to bridge the distance between us, had instead expanded it into a chasm, with me on one side, grappling with betrayal and shock, and her on the other, calm and convinced of her path to our salvation. The days following Samantha's bombshell proposal were a blur of confusion and silent meals. The air between us was charged with an unspoken tension, a mix of my disbelief and her anticipation. I found myself oscillating between anger and a desperate need to understand her perspective, to find the logic in her madness. It was on a cool Thursday evening that Samantha broached the subject again. We were sitting in the living room, a space that once felt cozy, but now seemed laden with the weight of her proposal. "Mike, have you given any thought to what we discussed?" Samantha's voice was gentle, a stark contrast to the turmoil I felt inside. I looked at her, really looked, and saw not just my wife, but a woman standing at a crossroads, asking me to follow her down a path I never imagined. Yes, I've thought about it, and I still can't wrap my head around it, Sam. How did we get here? How did you get here? Samantha moved closer, taking my hands in hers. I know it's a lot to ask, Mike, but I feel like we're stuck, like we're not living, but just existing. This could be our chance to break free from that, to rediscover ourselves and each other. Her words, heartfelt and sincere, tugged at the edges of my resistance. And what if it doesn't work, Sam? What if it only makes things worse? We won't know unless we try, Mike. And I'm not willing to give up on us without trying everything. Her gaze held mine, pleading for understanding, for acceptance. It was the vulnerability in her eyes, the sheer determination to fight for us in whatever way she thought possible, that broke down my defenses. All right, Sam. Let's say we do this, that we go along with your plan. What's the next step? A smile, the first genuine one I'd seen in weeks, spread across Samantha's face. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for being open to this. The next step. I think we should talk to Heather together. Lay everything out on the table. The mention of Heather brought back the reality of the situation, a reminder of the line we were about to cross. Okay, but Sam, are you sure about this? About her? Yes, I'm sure. Heather's discreet, understanding, and most importantly, she cares about us. I think she's the best choice for this experiment. And so, we found ourselves sitting across from Heather in our living room, the air thick with anticipation and the weight of the words yet to be spoken. Samantha took the lead, explaining our situation, her proposal, and what she hoped it would achieve for our marriage. Heather listened, her expression unreadable, before turning her gaze to me. Mike, are you okay with this? Because this is about both of you, and it's important that you're both on board. Her concern, genuine and unwavering, offered a sliver of comfort. I have my reservations, Heather. But I love Samantha, and if this is what she needs, then I'm willing to try. The conversation that followed was one of the most surreal experiences of my life, discussing boundaries, expectations, and the sheer logistics of integrating another person into the most intimate parts of our marriage. As Heather left that night, with an agreement in place and the first steps of this unconventional journey laid out before us, I couldn't help but feel like I was standing on the precipice of an unknown abyss, Samantha's hand in mine, as we prepared to leap into the dark together. The days following our agreement with Heather passed in a haze of unease and anticipation. The foundation of our marriage, once solid and unshakable, now felt as if it rested on a bed of quicksand, threatening to swallow us whole with every step we took in this new direction. It wasn't long before the arrangement was put into action. Samantha and Heather planned their first evening together, leaving me to grapple with a mix of emotions I couldn't quite name. It was a concoction of betrayal, curiosity, and an unexpected sense of liberation, each feeling ebbing and flowing like the tide. The night of their rendezvous, I found myself aimlessly wandering the empty spaces of our home, each room echoing with memories of a simpler time in our marriage. It was late when Samantha returned, her eyes alight with a vitality I hadn't seen in years, yet it did little to ease the knot of apprehension in my stomach. Mike, her voice, tentative, broke the silence that had settled between us. I turned to face her, searching her face for signs of the woman I married. How did it go? The words tasted like ash in my mouth. Samantha approached, her steps hesitant. It was different. But good, I think. Mike, I know this is hard for you. It's hard for me too, but I truly believe this could be what we need. I wanted to believe her, to embrace the hope she clung to so fiercely. Yet, doubt gnawed at me, relentless and unforgiving. And what if it's not, Sam? What if this tears us apart instead of bringing us closer? She reached for me, her touch of balm to the turmoil within. Then we stop. We reassess. This isn't about choosing her over you, Mike. It's about us finding a way back to each other. The weeks that followed were a testament to the complexity of human emotions. Samantha and Heather continued their explorations, and I found myself caught in a web of my own making, engaging in fleeting encounters that left me feeling hollow and disconnected. It was during one of these aimless nights, in the company of a stranger whose name I barely caught, that the absurdity of our situation struck me. We'd adventured so far from the shore of our marriage, navigating uncharted waters without a compass, that I no longer recognized the landscape of our relationship. Returning home that night, the silence of our bedroom was a stark reminder of the distance that had grown between us. Samantha lay asleep, peaceful and unburdened, while I was a storm of confusion and longing. Sam. My voice, barely a whisper, was enough to stir her from sleep. She blinked, her eyes adjusting to the dim light, before focusing on me. Mike? What's wrong? I sat beside her, the weight of my realization heavy on my chest. We're lost, Sam. This arrangement, it's not bringing us closer. It's pushing us further apart. I miss you. I miss us. Her hand found mine in the dark, a lifeline in the tumult of our making. I miss us too, Mike. I thought I was doing the right thing, for both of us. But maybe I was wrong. The conversation that followed was a raw, unguarded dissection of our marriage, of the choices we had made, and the future we still hoped to build. It was a beginning, tentative and fragile, but a beginning nonetheless. In the aftermath of our experiment, we learned that the path back to each other was not through the arms of others, but through the rediscovery of the love that had bound us together in the first place. It was a journey fraught with challenges, but one we were committed to making together. In the wake of our decision to cease the arrangement with Heather, Samantha, and I found ourselves navigating a sea of emotions, each wave revealing the depth of the damage we had inflicted upon our marriage. It was a time of reflection, of painful admissions, and of tentative steps toward reconciliation. Yet, the shadow of our actions loomed large, a constant reminder of the fragility of trust. One evening, as autumn painted the world in hues of amber and gold, the unforeseen consequences of our choices came knocking at our door. Heather stood on our porch, her presence a ghost from a chapter we had desperately tried to close. "Mike, it's Heather," Samantha called out, her voice laced with a tension that immediately set my nerves on edge. I found them in the living room, an awkward silence hanging between them like a thick fog. Heather's usual composure was nowhere to be seen, replaced instead by a palpable unease. "Heather, what brings you here?" I asked, striving for a neutrality I did not feel. She took a deep breath, her gaze shifting between Samantha and me. "I'm sorry to come unannounced, but we need to talk. There are consequences to what we did. Consequences I didn't anticipate." Samantha moved closer, her hand finding mine. "What kind of consequences?" Heather's next words fell like a hammer, shattering the fragile peace we had begun to rebuild. "I'm pregnant." The room seemed to tilt, the ground unsteady beneath my feet. Samantha's grip on my hand tightened, a lifeline in the storm that had just broken over us. "How?" "I mean, we were careful," Samantha stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "I know, I thought so too. But life, finds a way, I guess," Heather replied, a bitter laugh escaping her lips. The conversation that followed was a blur of emotions and decisions. Heather made it clear that she intended to keep the baby, a decision we respected despite the turmoil it caused. The question of involvement loomed large, a complex web of responsibilities and rights that we were ill-prepared to navigate. After Heather left, Samantha and I sat in silence, the magnitude of the situation pressing down on us. It was Samantha who broke the silence, her voice trembling with unshed tears. "Mike, what are we going to do? This changes everything." I pulled her close, the scent of her hair a reminder of the countless moments we had shared, of the love that had once seemed unbreakable. "I don't know, Sam, but we'll figure it out together. We made this mess together, and we'll face the consequences together." The weeks that followed were a testament to the complexity of life, of decisions made and the paths they set us on. Samantha and I attended counseling, both as a couple and individually, grappling with the guilt, the betrayal, and the uncertain future that lay before us. Our journey was far from over, the road ahead fraught with challenges and difficult choices. Yet, in facing the consequences of our actions, we found a strength we didn't know we possessed, a determination to rebuild not just our marriage, but ourselves. As the first leaves of autumn fell, marking the passage of time, Samantha and I stood together, united in our resolve to face whatever the future held. The road to redemption was long and uncertain, but it was a road we were committed to walking, hand in hand. The revelation of Heather's pregnancy was a bomb that detonated in the heart of our already fragile marriage. Its shockwaves reverberated through every aspect of our lives, leaving Samantha and me to navigate a landscape that had become unrecognizable overnight. The fallout was immediate and merciless, forcing us to confront not only the consequences of our actions, but also the deeper issues that had led us down this path. One evening, as we sat amidst the debris of our unraveling lives, Samantha broke the silence that had become our constant companion. "Mike, do you think we can ever get past this?" Her voice was a whisper, fragile as glass. I turned to look at her, really look at her, for what felt like the first time in months. The weight of our situation was etched into the lines of her face, the shadows under her eyes testament to sleepless nights and unspoken fears. I don't know, Sam. I want to believe we can. But it's going to take time and a lot of hard work. We're in uncharted territory here. Samantha nodded, her gaze dropping to her hands. I know. It's just, everything's so complicated now. Heather's pregnancy, our relationship, what we want for the future. I feel like we're standing in the middle of a minefield, blindfolded. Her analogy struck a chord, the accuracy of it sending a chill down my spine. Yeah, it does feel that way. But we're going to have to find our way through it, step by careful step. And that means being honest with each other, no matter how hard that might be. The conversation that followed was raw and painful, a cathartic release of pent-up emotions and grievances. We talked about our fears, our hopes, and the love that, despite everything, still lingered between us. It was a beginning, a tentative step toward understanding and, perhaps, forgiveness. In the days that followed, the reality of our situation began to take shape. Heather, despite the complexity of her relationship with us, was forthcoming about her intentions and her expectations. We met with her several times, each encounter a delicate dance of boundaries and emotions. During one such meeting, Heather addressed the elephant in the room. I know this isn't how any of us imagined things would turn out. And I'm not expecting either of you to play a role in this child's life if you're not comfortable with it. But I needed you to know, to give you the choice. Samantha, ever the voice of reason, responded with a calmness that belied the turmoil beneath. Heather, thank you for being honest with us. We need some time to figure out what this means for us, for our marriage. But we appreciate you giving us the space to make that decision. The weeks turned into months, and slowly, the sharp edges of our pain began to dull. Samantha and I continued our therapy, both together and individually, learning to navigate the new dynamics of our relationship. The process was excruciatingly slow, fraught with setbacks and moments of despair, but also punctuated by glimpses of the love that had first brought us together. As Heather's pregnancy progressed, so too did our understanding of what we wanted our future to look like. The decision to be a part of the child's life was not made lightly, but it was made together, a testament to the progress we had made in healing the rifts between us. The fallout of our actions would always be a part of our story, a reminder of the price of betrayal and the power of forgiveness. But as we stood on the precipice of this new chapter, Samantha and I held onto the hope that, from the ashes of our past, something beautiful could still emerge. As autumn gave way to the biting chill of winter, the landscape of our lives continued to evolve, shaped by the decisions we had made and the ones still looming before us. Heather's pregnancy was a constant undercurrent, a reminder of the tangled web of emotions and responsibilities we had woven. Yet, amidst the turmoil, moments of clarity began to emerge, offering glimpses of a path forward, however uncertain. One cold December evening, as Samantha and I sat wrapped in silence, the weight of our thoughts as heavy as the blanket we shared, a revelation broke through the frost. Mike, Samantha began, her voice cutting through the quiet like a beacon. I've been doing a lot of thinking about us, about everything. And I've realized something important. I turned to her, intrigued by the resolve in her tone. What's that? She took a deep breath, her gaze meeting mine with an intensity that took my breath away. I've realized that love isn't just about the good times. It's about weathering the storms together, about choosing each other even when the path isn't clear. Her words resonated deep within me, a truth I had known but had struggled to fully grasp. Sam, I began, my voice trailing off as emotions threatened to overwhelm me. She reached out, her hand finding mine, a lifeline in the darkness. I know, Mike. I feel it too. This journey has been the hardest thing we've ever faced, but it's also shown me how strong we can be together. I don't want to give up on us, not without fighting for what we have. The revelation that unfolded between us that night was a turning point, a beacon of hope in the long night of our discontent. We talked for hours, laying bare our fears, our dreams. and the love that, despite the odds, still burned between us. In the weeks that followed, Samantha and I began to rebuild our lives with a newfound purpose. We attended our therapy sessions with a vigor that surprised even our counselor, each session a step closer to understanding and reconciliation. It was during one of these sessions that another revelation struck, this time from a source we had not anticipated. Our counselor, a wise woman with a knack for cutting through to the heart of the matter, posed a question that stopped us in our tracks. Have you considered what this journey has taught you about yourselves, not just as a couple, but as individuals? Her question lingered in the air, a challenge that demanded introspection. Samantha was the first to respond, her voice steady but laced with emotion. I've learned that I'm stronger than I ever gave myself credit for, but I've also learned that strength doesn't mean having to face everything alone. It's okay to lean on others, to admit when you need help. Her words echoed my own thoughts, a mirror to the revelations that had been slowly dawning on me. And I've learned that forgiveness isn't just about the other person. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of anger and resentment. It's a journey, not a destination, and it's one I'm still on. As the session came to a close, Samantha and I left hand in hand, a united front facing an uncertain future. The revelations of the past weeks had laid bare the depth of our connection, a bond that had been tested but not broken. The road ahead was still fraught with challenges, but as we stepped out into the crisp winter air, a sense of peace settled over us. For the first time in a long time, we had hope. Hope for healing, for forgiveness, and for a future that, while forever changed, still held the promise of love and redemption. Spring arrived with a sense of renewal, its warmth seeping into the crevices of our lives, promising growth and rebirth. The world around us blossomed, a vivid testament to the resilience of nature, mirroring the tentative steps Samantha and I were taking toward our own new beginning. It was during this time of renewal that Heather gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, Lily. The moment we laid eyes on her, something shifted within us, a profound realization of the preciousness of life and the complexity of the emotions that had brought us to this point. Samantha and I had made the decision to be part of Lily's life, a choice that came with its own set of challenges and adjustments. Yet, as we navigated this uncharted territory, we found ourselves drawn closer together, united by a shared commitment to this innocent life that had become entwined with our own. One evening, as we sat on our porch watching the sunset, Samantha turned to me, her eyes reflecting the golden hues of the fading light. "Mike, do you think we're ready for this? To be a part of Lily's life, I mean." I considered her question, the weight of our decision pressing down on me. "I think we're as ready as we'll ever be, Sam. It's not going to be easy, but I can't imagine turning our backs on her. She's a part of us now, in a way that's hard to explain." Samantha nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "I feel the same way. It's strange, isn't it? How something so complicated can also feel so right." Her words resonated with me, capturing the paradox of our situation. It is. But I guess that's the nature of life, isn't it? A series of complicated, beautiful messes that somehow make sense in the end. As we sat in comfortable silence, the last rays of sunlight slipping below the horizon, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. The journey ahead would undoubtedly be filled with obstacles, but for the first time, I felt confident in our ability to face them together. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity as we adjusted to our new roles in Lily's life. Heather, to her credit, was incredibly supportive, facilitating our involvement with grace and understanding. The dynamic between the three of us was unconventional, yet it worked, a delicate balance of boundaries and mutual respect. One day, as Samantha and I were leaving Heather's apartment after a visit with Lily, Heather stopped us at the door. "I just wanted to say thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "For being here, for being a part of Lily's life. It means more to me than I can express." Samantha reached out, squeezing Heather's hand. "Thank you for allowing us to be part of this journey. Lily is lucky to have you as her mom, and we're lucky to be able to share in her life." As we walked back to our car, hand in hand, I couldn't help but marvel at the unlikely family we had formed. It was a testament to the power of forgiveness, of choosing love and understanding over bitterness and resentment. Our story was far from over, but as we embarked on this new chapter, I was filled with hope. Hope for the future, for the healing that was slowly taking place, and for the love that had proved to be stronger than the trials we had faced. In that moment, I realized that our new beginning was not just about moving past the pain and betrayal of the past. It was about embracing the complexity of our lives, about finding joy in the unexpected, and about the endless capacity of the human heart to love, forgive, and grow.